Captain Marcus Chen pulled his gaze away from the viewport, where the massive Xilarian warship cast a shadow over Singapore's skyline. He straightened his uniform and stepped into the United Earth Defense Council's emergency chamber. 12 ashen faces turned toward him. Captain Chen. Admiral Zhou's voice betrayed exhaustion. "Thank you for coming on such short notice." Marcus nodded. 3 days since the Xilarian fleet had appeared in Earth's orbit, positioning their planet-killer weapons over major cities. 3 days of tense negotiations that seemed to be going nowhere. "The Xilarians have made their final offer," President Okafor said, sliding a data tablet across the polished table. "I suggest you review it carefully." The tablet displayed images of crystalline ships, technical specifications beyond human comprehension, and finally, a formal document with elaborate alien script alongside its translation. Marcus skimmed it, then froze at paragraph 3. "This can't be right," he said. "A marriage alliance. It's a common practice in their culture," explained Dr. Patel, their xenoanthropologist. "The Xilarians believe that genetic and political bonds must be unified." Marcus continued reading, a cold weight settling in his stomach. "They specifically requested me." "Why?" Admiral Zhou cleared her throat. "Your service record is exemplary. You have combat experience, diplomatic training, and advanced degrees in exobiology. You fit their criteria for an ideal genetic partner. And more importantly," President Okafor added, "you're single with no dependents. This is strictly voluntary, Captain, but I won't hide the stakes." The holographic display activated, showing simulations of what would happen if the Xilarian weapons deployed. Major cities vaporized in seconds, followed by ecological collapse within days. "They say they're offering peace," Marcus muttered. "At a price," said Admiral Zhou. "You would live aboard their flagship as the consort to Princess Tilara, serving as Earth's permanent ambassador to their empire." Dr. Patil activated another hologram, showing a tall, insectoid figure with crystalline growths protruding from an exoskeleton. "This is the average Xilarian," she explained, then switched to another image. "And this is Princess Tilara." Marcus kept his expression neutral, but it wasn't easy. Where the first Xilarian had symmetrical features and luminescent patterns flowing across its carapace, the princess appeared almost malformed by comparison. Her exoskeleton grew in jagged, asymmetrical plates. Her resonance chambers, structures the Xilarians used for communication and possibly attraction, were underdeveloped. Her limbs were mismatched in length. By their standards, she's considered— Dr. Patel searched for a diplomatic term. "Unattractive." Marcus finished for her. "I understand. We believe this may be why they're offering this alliance," President Okafor said quietly. "Her royal bloodline is important, but her appearance makes her undesirable among their kind. They may see humans as less discriminating." Marcus thought of his parents in rural Malaysia, his sister at the lunar colony. He thought of 8 billion humans looking up at the weapons that could end everything. "If I agree," he asked, "what does Earth get besides their promise not to destroy us?" President Okafor smiled slightly. "That's why we chose you, Captain. Always thinking strategically." She activated another section of the agreement. "We've negotiated access to certain Xilarian technologies, medical advancements, atmospheric processors, and limited defensive capabilities." "Not their weapons," Marcus noted. "No," Admiral Zhou confirmed, "but enough to advance us by a century overnight." Marcus stood and walked to the viewport. The Xilarian ship's crystalline structure caught the setting sun, fracturing light into prisms across the city below. "When would I leave?" he asked. "Immediately," President Okafor said. "The Supreme Commander awaits your answer." Marcus took a deep breath. "I'll do it. But I want something added to the agreement. Unrestricted access to their scientific database. If I'm marrying into their royal family, I should have the same educational privileges as any Xilarian consort." President Okafor's eyes widened slightly. That's ambitious. I'm not just going as a symbolic husband, Marcus said firmly. If I'm our ambassador, I need to understand their world completely. Admiral Zhao nodded with newfound respect. We'll make the request. As Marcus turned to leave and prepare for his new life, Dr. Patel caught his arm. Captain, one more thing you should know. The marriage will include a neural connection ceremony. Your minds will touch, briefly. What does that mean exactly? Marcus asked. We don't know, she admitted. No human has experienced it before. The journey to the Xelarian flagship took less than an hour in their shuttle, though Marcus felt every second stretch into eternity. The craft docked with a crystalline structure that seemed to grow organically from the massive vessel. As the airlock cycled, his neural translator, a delicate device implanted behind his ear the previous night, activated with a soft hum. Captain Chen, welcome aboard the Luminous Ascendancy. A melodic voice greeted him as the door slid open. The Xelarian standing before him was tall and slender, with an exoskeleton that shimmered with bioluminescent patterns. I am Kelvor, Royal Protocol Officer. I will prepare you for the ceremony. Marcus followed Kelvor through corridors that seemed carved from living crystal. Xelarians they passed stopped to stare at him, their three eyes blinking in asynchronous patterns. His translator struggled to interpret the rapid clicks and whistles they exchanged, but he caught fragments: human, alliance, and occasionally princess. The ceremony will begin when our central star aligns with your moon, Kelvor explained, guiding him into a chamber filled with strange, aromatic mists. These vapors will prepare your nervous system for the neural connection. Without them, the process could be uncomfortable. Marcus inhaled deeply as instructed. The mist tasted like cinnamon and ozone. Will I meet Princess Tilara before the ceremony? No, Kelvor responded, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. It is our tradition that bond partners first meet during the ceremony itself. The Supreme Commander, however, wishes to speak with you. After being dressed in a ceremonial garment, a lightweight crystal-infused fabric that shifted colors with his movements, Marcus was led to an imposing chamber. Supreme Commander Vor Cathak stood nearly 8 feet tall, his exoskeleton burnished with ceremonial markings. Human, the commander addressed him without preamble. You understand the purpose of this alliance. Marcus bowed respectfully. To establish peaceful relations between our worlds and exchange knowledge and resources. Vor Cathak's inner eyelids flickered. That is the diplomatic answer. The truth is more pragmatic. Your world possesses resources we desire. This arrangement allows us to access them without unnecessary destruction. And what does Princess Tilara gain from this arrangement? Marcus asked carefully. Purpose, the commander replied flatly. Her physical configurations are non-standard, yet her bloodline is essential to our royal succession. This match provides her a role befitting her station without disrupting our aesthetic hierarchies. Marcus maintained his diplomatic composure despite his growing unease. On Earth, we've learned that appearance rarely determines value. A curious perspective, Vor Cathak replied. Perhaps that explains your species' chaotic development. He gestured toward the doorway. The alignment approaches. It is time. The ceremonial chamber pulsed with bioluminescent energy. Hundreds of Xelarians lined the crystalline walls, their collective clicking creating an almost musical backdrop. Marcus stood on a raised platform, feeling oddly calm despite the strangeness surrounding him. When the massive doors parted, the chamber fell silent. Princess Tilara entered, flanked by attendants. Marcus's first impression was of height. She stood taller than most of the other Xelarians. As she approached, he noted the features that marked her as unattractive to her people. Her exoskeletal plates grew in irregular patterns, asymmetrical and lacking the flowing luminescence of the others. Her 3 eyes were mismatched in size, and the resonance chambers along her thorax appeared underdeveloped. Yet there was something compelling in her deliberate movement, a dignity that transcended physical appearance. When she reached the platform and faced him directly, Marcus performed the greeting gesture he'd been taught perfectly, showing no hesitation or discomfort. "You show remarkable composure, human," Vorkathak observed from his elevated position. "Most species find physical divergence disturbing. On Earth, we learn to see beyond surface appearances," Marcus replied, maintaining eye contact with Tilara. The neural connection apparatus descended from the ceiling, a delicate crown of crystalline filaments. As it settled onto their heads, Marcus heard Tilara's voice directly in his mind before the full connection engaged. "My appearance does not define me, Captain Chen. My mind will surprise you." When their consciousness momentarily merged, Marcus experienced a kaleidoscope of brilliant thoughts, complex mathematical equations, scientific theories beyond human development, and surprisingly, detailed knowledge of Earth's cultures, languages, and art. Behind Tilara's alien features existed a mind of extraordinary depth and curiosity. As their minds separated, Tilara looked directly at him and spoke in perfect, unaccented English. "Captain Chen, your neural architecture is admirably adaptive. This arrangement may prove more interesting than anticipated." The assembled Silurian court erupted in clicks and whistles. The translator gems remained inactive. She wasn't using them. She had spoken his language flawlessly. The Supreme Commander's 3 eyes widened in evident shock. For the first time, he seemed genuinely speechless. Their assigned quarters occupied an entire level of the flagship's diplomatic wing. The space had been hastily modified to accommodate human physiology. Oxygen levels adjusted, temperature lowered, and a section furnished with Earth-sourced items. The contrast between the angular crystal architecture and the soft fabrics of human furniture created an oddly charming aesthetic clash. As soon as the attendants departed and the doors sealed, Tilara's formal posture relaxed visibly. She moved to a control panel and activated a sequence that illuminated the walls with a subtle blue glow. "Privacy field engage," she explained in perfect English. "Now we may speak freely without monitoring." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You've prepared for this conversation." "For 3 Earth years," Tilara confirmed, settling onto a crystalline seat that reshaped itself to accommodate her asymmetrical form. "While my father planned conquest, I researched alternatives." She gestured toward a hidden panel that slid open to reveal a sophisticated data center. The screens displayed a staggering array of information about Earth: cultural analyses, linguistic patterns, biological studies, and historical overviews. "You've been studying us," Marcus observed, impressed despite himself. "Obsessively," Tilara admitted without shame. "Your species fascinates me. You lack our technological advancement, yet you've survived catastrophes that would have ended most civilizations. You fight amongst yourselves constantly, yet unite against external threats with remarkable solidarity." Marcus examined the displays more closely. "Your English is flawless. That wasn't part of the neural connection, was it?" "No. I learned your languages independently, all major Earth dialects, and 43 regional variants." A series of clicking sounds emerged from her thoracic resonance chambers, the Xilarian equivalent of pride. "My father believes this marriage is about controlling your planet through ceremonial tradition. His perspective is limited." "And what's your perspective?" Marcus asked, settling across from her. Tilara's 3 eyes focused on him with surprising intensity. "That both our species stand at evolutionary crossroads. The Xilarian Empire has become dangerously static. We've achieved technological supremacy but lost adaptability." She activated another display showing Silurian population statistics. The graphs revealed troubling patterns: declining birth rates, increasing genetic homogeneity, and rising susceptibility to previously minor pathogens. "Our obsession with physical conformity is killing us," she continued. "Did you notice there are no young Silurians aboard this ship? No children. The last royal birth occurred 27 years ago." "My birth." Marcus connected the implications. "Your physical differences, they're not just cosmetic, are they?" "Correct. My undesirable traits represent genetic adaptations. My asymmetrical exoskeletal structure allows for greater physical resilience. My atypical resonance chambers produce frequencies outside standard Silurian range. Her mandibles formed what he now recognized as a smile. In evolutionary terms, I represent beneficial mutation. In social terms, I am an embarrassment. She rose and moved to a workstation, activating a molecular modeling program. Complex genetic structures rotated in holographic display. What is humanity's greatest strength, Captain Chen? Marcus watched her manipulate the genetic models with practiced precision. Our adaptability, perhaps. Our diversity. Precisely. Lara nodded. Your species embraces variation as a survival strategy. Mine rejects it as disorder. This marriage was arranged because my father sees me as politically useful but physically repulsive. He never imagined I orchestrated it. Marcus studied her with new appreciation. You volunteered for this arrangement. I requested you specifically, she confirmed. Your psychological profile suggests open-mindedness, scientific curiosity, and diplomatic skill. Qualities I require in a partner. Partner for what exactly? Marcus asked. Hilara's eyes gleamed with unexpected intensity. To prevent my father from harvesting your species for genetic material while simultaneously saving mine from extinction through cooperative exchange. She gestured to the elaborate laboratory equipment, hidden behind decorative panels. I've prepared everything we need. The question is, having learned the true stakes, will you help me, Captain Chen? Marcus looked from the genetic displays to the alien princess who had manipulated her way into a political marriage for reasons entirely different than anyone suspected. Diplomatic training hadn't prepared him for this twist. I think, he said slowly, you should call me Marcus. Partners shouldn't stand on ceremony. 2 months into their marriage, Marcus had settled into a routine. Mornings were spent in diplomatic meetings as Earth's representative, afternoons in cultural exchange sessions with curious Silurian scientists, and evenings working alongside Lara in their hidden laboratory. To maintain appearances, they attended formal court functions together, where Marcus noted the subtle ways other Xilarians avoided direct interaction with Lara despite her royal status. Today, however, the routine broke when Marcus noticed unusual activity in the medical bay during his diplomatic tour. Dozens of containment units were being prepared, each roughly the size of a human adult. These are impressive medical facilities, he commented casually to his guide, Sub-Commander Krell. What's the purpose of these specific units? Standard preparedness protocols, Krell replied smoothly. Nothing that need concern Earth's ambassador. Later that evening, Marcus used the access codes Lara had provided to enter the ship's secure database. What he found confirmed his suspicions. Extraction protocols, he said when Lara returned from her scientific council meeting. Scheduled to begin next week. They're planning to harvest humans for genetic material. Lara's exoskeleton briefly flushed dark with emotion. I feared this would happen. My father grows impatient. She joined him at the console, her elongated fingers flying across the control surface. The Supreme Command believes selective extraction from key human genetic lines will solve our cellular degradation issues. Extraction sounds painful and non-consensual, Marcus observed grimly. It is both, Lara confirmed. The process would be fatal to the subjects. Your diplomats, scientists, and military leaders would be first. The best genetic specimens, in their assessment. They examined the detailed plans together. Thousands of humans would be processed for their genetic material, with Earth's resistance capabilities neutralized by the fleet's weapons. Your father must know this would violate our alliance, Marcus said. The alliance was always a temporary measure in his mind, Lara replied. A means to study human biology more closely before collection began. She activated the molecular modeling system, displaying the results of their 2 months of collaborative research. Our alternative approach is nearly complete, but we need more time. The therapy would allow voluntary genetic exchange, benefiting both species without harm. Marcus studied the rotating models. These modifications to my cells, they've successfully integrated with Silurian tissue samples. Yes, though we need larger-scale testing, Tilera acknowledged. The therapy works by introducing human genetic diversity markers into Silurian cellular structures while providing regenerative capabilities to human recipients. A true symbiosis, Marcus murmured. Instead of conquest, cooperation. Tilera moved closer, her normally steady limbs showing slight tremors of concern. Marcus, if the extraction begins, Earth will resist. My father will authorize planetary bombardment in response. Billions will die needlessly. Then we need evidence compelling enough to convince the Supreme Command that voluntary exchange is superior, Marcus said, straightening with determination. And we need it before next week. There's one option, Tilera said hesitantly, but it carries significant risk. She adjusted the molecular display to show a hybrid genetic structure, half human, half Silurian, a living demonstration of successful integration. Marcus studied the simulation. You mean? Yes. I would need to introduce your genetic material directly into my biological systems through an accelerated bonding process. If successful, my body would demonstrate the therapy's effectiveness in real time. Her three eyes fixed on him intently. It would prove that our genetic structures can support each other rather than requiring one to consume the other. And the risks? Marcus asked, though he suspected the answer. Significant, she acknowledged. Complete cellular rejection at minimum, death at worst. But if successful, the evidence would be undeniable. Living proof that cooperation offers superior results to extraction. Marcus considered the containment units being prepared in the medical bay. The thousands of humans who would die if the extraction proceeded, the billions more who would perish in the inevitable war. How soon can we begin? He asked. Tilera's exoskeleton pulsed with patterns he now recognized as surprise. You understand you would be risking your life as well. The process requires genetic exchange in both directions. Marcus smiled grimly. I came aboard as Earth's ambassador. What better way to represent humanity than by demonstrating our capacity for cooperation even at personal risk? As they began preparations for the dangerous procedure, alarm tones suddenly blared throughout their quarters. The door communication system activated with Supreme Commander Vorkathak's voice. Princess Tilera and Captain Chen, report to command immediately. His tone left no room for debate. Your unauthorized research activities have been discovered. The command deck buzzed with tension as Marcus and Tilera arrived. Supreme Commander Vorkathak loomed over a central display, showing detailed scans of their private laboratory. Unauthorized genetic research, he stated flatly, conducted in diplomatic quarters without council approval. His three eyes narrowed on his daughter. Explain yourself. Tilera stepped forward, her asymmetrical form somehow more regal under pressure. I've developed an alternative to the extraction protocols, Father. One that offers superior results without violating our alliance with Earth. Your concerns regarding extraction methods were noted and dismissed by the Council, Vorkathak replied coldly. The decision is final. Marcus studied the other Xilarians present. Most displayed the subtle exoskeletal patterns of agreement with their commander, but a few, notably the chief medical officer, Dr. Selvarian, showed signs of uncertainty. Perhaps, Marcus suggested carefully, the princess's research deserves evaluation before implementation of the extraction protocols begins. Scientific thoroughness would seem prudent. Dr. Selvarian's thoracic plates shifted in what Marcus had learned indicated agreement. The ambassador's point has merit, Supreme Commander. Our protocols demand consideration of all viable alternatives. Vorkathak's mandibles clicked in irritation. And what evidence suggests this alternative is viable? Tilera activated her portable data crystal, projecting their research onto the command deck's main display. Our preliminary results demonstrate successful integration of human genetic diversity markers with Silurian cellular structures without compromising either. The therapy could provide the genetic renewal our species needs while simultaneously offering regenerative benefits to humans. As the molecular models rotated above them, showing the complex interplay of human and Silurian genetic material, Marcus noticed several of the scientists exchanging the rapid eye blink patterns that indicated scientific interest. Theoretical models prove nothing, Vorkavak dismissed. The extraction protocols have been tested and confirmed effective. At the cost of human lives, Tilera countered, and the inevitable resistance that would follow. Our alternative requires no such sacrifice. The Supreme Commander's exoskeleton darkened with anger. You overstep, daughter. Your judgment is compromised by excessive exposure to human perspectives. Or perhaps, Dr. Selverian interjected cautiously, the princess offers a perspective we have lacked. Our genetic stagnation correlates directly with our increasingly homogeneous population. The very traits we have selected against, like those the princess displays, may contain solutions we have overlooked. Vorkavak's attention shifted to the medical officer. You support this unauthorized research. I support thorough scientific evaluation. Selverian replied diplomatically. The princess's preliminary results are intriguing. Marcus sensed the delicate power shift occurring. Supreme Commander, Earth entered this alliance in good faith. We've shared our scientific knowledge openly. All we ask is consideration of a mutually beneficial approach. Vorkavak studied them both carefully before responding. You have 3 cycles to prove your alternative's effectiveness with living subjects. If you fail, the extraction protocols will proceed as planned. His gaze settled on Tilera. And you will bear responsibility for the delay. After they were dismissed, Marcus and Tilera hurried back to their quarters. 3 cycles, that's less than 72 Earth hours, Marcus calculated. Is that enough time? Tilera adjusted her laboratory equipment with quick, precise movements. It must be. We'll need to accelerate the procedure significantly. She looked at him with her mismatched eyes. The risk increases accordingly. Are you certain you wish to proceed? Instead of answering directly, Marcus removed his uniform jacket and rolled up his sleeve. How much of my genetic material do you need? Tilera's mandibles formed the subtle pattern he now recognized as her version of a smile. Your adaptability continues to impress me. She prepared a collection device. This will extract sufficient cellular material to begin the process. As she worked, Marcus noticed subtle patterns pulsing across her exoskeleton, signs of stress she was attempting to suppress. You're worried, he observed. The accelerated timeline reduces our safety margins considerably, she admitted, and my father will be looking for reasons to declare our experiment a failure. Then we'll need to make the results undeniable, Marcus said as she extracted a sample of his tissue. What happens now? Tilera transferred his genetic material into a complex apparatus. Now the difficult part begins. The hybrid therapy requires precise calibration to each subject's unique biology. I'll work through the night to prepare the treatment. She hesitated before adding, once administered, the changes will be permanent, Marcus, for both of us. He met her gaze steadily. Sometimes the most important diplomatic breakthroughs require personal commitment. As Tilera began the delicate process of integrating their genetic materials into the therapy, the ship's systems monitored their every move. In the command center, Supreme Commander Vorkavak watched the proceedings with his closest advisors. They cannot succeed, the tactical officer asserted confidently. Perhaps, Vorkavak replied, his tone unreadable. But if they do, the implications would be significant. 48 hours into their deadline, the laboratory hummed with energy as Tilera made final adjustments to the therapy chambers. 2 transparent pods stood side by side, connected by pulsing crystalline tubes that would facilitate the genetic exchange. Marcus watched her work, noting the subtle tremors in her usually steady hands. The therapy is ready, she announced finally, her voice betraying rare uncertainty. The simulations predict 92% compatibility, but the accelerated timeline increases unknown variables considerably. Marcus approached the human-sized pod, examining the intricate delivery system inside. How will we know if it's working? The changes will manifest progressively, Lara explained. First cellular, then systemic. If successful, your body will develop enhanced regenerative capabilities while maintaining its human structure. Mine will integrate aspects of human genetic diversity without compromising Solarian biology. A soft chime interrupted them as Dr. Selvarian requested entry. The medical officer entered with 2 junior scientists, carrying advanced diagnostic equipment. The Supreme Commander has assigned me to monitor your experiment, Selvarian explained. These proceedings must be officially documented. Lara's exoskeleton briefly darkened with suspicion. Documented or interfered with? Merely observed, Selvarian assured her, setting up monitoring equipment. Then, lowering her voice, she added, "Your research has merit, Princess. More of us recognize this than you might believe." As the medical team established their observation station, Marcus and Lara prepared for the procedure. Lara explained the final details as they changed into the specialized medical garments. The process takes approximately 6 hours, she said. The first phase establishes genetic compatibility. The second phase introduces modified cellular structures. The third phase integrates these structures throughout our systems. And the pain level? Marcus asked practically. Lara hesitated. Significant. Our nervous systems will interpret the changes as intrusive. Marcus nodded, unsurprised. I've had extensive training in pain management. I'll manage. There's one more thing, Lara added quietly. During the third phase, our consciousnesses will connect similarly to the marriage ceremony, but more deeply. Thoughts, memories. They may transfer between us. Before Marcus could respond, an urgent alert sounded. The laboratory door opened to admit Supreme Commander Vorkathak himself, accompanied by his personal guard. "I've come to witness this experiment personally," he announced, his tone revealing nothing. "Proceed." With their timeline unchanged, but the stakes clearly raised, Marcus and Lara exchanged a look of determination and entered their respective chambers. The transparent material sealed around them as the medical team activated the sequence. The first sensation was cold, intense, penetrating cold that seemed to reach bone marrow. Marcus controlled his breathing as the delivery system introduced the modified genetic material into his bloodstream. Across from him, Lara's exoskeleton pulsed with waves of color as her body received his modified genetic markers. The pain began during the second hour. Sharp, cellular-level changes that felt like being simultaneously frozen and burned. Marcus gritted his teeth, focusing on the techniques he learned during Special Forces training. Through the transparent barrier, he could see Lara experiencing similar distress, her normally rigid exoskeleton flexing in ways it wasn't designed to move. "Remarkable cellular integration," Dr. Selvarian commented, studying the real-time scans. The human cells are accepting the Solarian components while maintaining structural integrity. Vorkathak watched silently, his expression unreadable. "And my daughter's condition?" "Even more promising," the doctor replied. "Her system is incorporating human genetic diversity markers while preserving the essential Solarian characteristics. The asymmetry in her exoskeletal structure is actually facilitating the integration. Her flaws are proving advantageous." As the third phase began, Marcus felt his consciousness expanding beyond his physical form. Images flooded his mind, memories of a young Solarian princess isolated from her peers, studying human culture in secret, developing brilliant theories only to have them dismissed because of her appearance. He felt her determination, her loneliness, and her unwavering belief that there must be a better way. Simultaneously, Lara experienced Marcus's memories. His childhood in Singapore, his military training, the weight of responsibility he felt as Earth's ambassador. She understood now his capacity for adapting to pain, his strategic thinking, and most surprisingly, his growing admiration for her mind and courage. When the procedure finally completed, the chambers opened with a soft hiss. Dr. Selverian rushed forward with medical scanners as Marcus and T. Lara emerged, supporting each other unsteadily. The entire room fell silent, staring at them in shock. T. Lara's exoskeleton now displayed subtle luminescent patterns that pulsed with her heartbeat, patterns previously impossible in her biology. Meanwhile, Marcus's eyes reflected light with a slight crystalline quality, and a medical scan revealed accelerated cellular repair throughout his system. "Impossible," whispered one of the junior scientists. Supreme Commander Vor Kathak stepped forward, examining his daughter closely. For perhaps the first time in her life, he looked at her without disappointment. "You have succeeded in creating a viable therapy," he acknowledged reluctantly. "The Council will need to evaluate these results." "There isn't time for bureaucracy," Tilara replied, her voice stronger despite her exhaustion. "The extraction protocols must be cancelled immediately." The Supreme Commander's three eyes narrowed. That decision requires consensus. "Then perhaps," Marcus suggested, standing straighter as his enhanced cells rapidly recovered from the procedure, "it's time we presented our results directly to the Council." The Xilarian High Council chamber resembled a massive geode, walls of crystal that reflected light in hypnotic patterns. The 12 council members sat in a semicircle on elevated platforms, their exoskeletons adorned with ceremonial markings indicating centuries of selective breeding. Marcus and T. Lara stood at the center, still showing visible effects of their genetic therapy. Behind them, Dr. Selverian waited with comprehensive data from their experiment. "This emergency session of the High Council is now convened," intoned the eldest counselor, her voice resonating through the chamber's perfect acoustics. "Supreme Commander Vor Kathak has brought a matter of significant importance regarding the human extraction protocols." Vor Kathak stepped forward. "Counselors, Princess T. Lara, and the human ambassador have conducted genetic research producing unexpected results. Before implementation of the extraction protocols, these findings warrant review." The Council's reaction was immediate, patterns of skepticism flashing across their exoskeletons, mandibles clicking in rapid communication too subtle for Marcus's translator to capture. "Princess Tilara's scientific contributions have been evaluated and dismissed previously," noted a counselor with elaborate cranial ridges. "Her methodologies are as irregular as her physical form." Tilara stepped forward without waiting for permission. "My physical irregularities, traits you have dismissed as flaws, have proven advantageous in accepting genetic diversity. The therapy developed with Captain Chen demonstrates a superior alternative to extraction." She activated a holographic display showing their genetic structures before and after the procedure. "Human genetic diversity introduces adaptability our species has sacrificed through generations of selective aesthetic breeding. Meanwhile, Xilarian genetic stability offers humans enhanced cellular regeneration. The exchange benefits both species without requiring sacrifice." "Theoretical models are insufficient," dismissed another counselor. "The extraction protocols have been thoroughly." "These are not theoretical models," Marcus interrupted, his voice calm but firm. "We underwent the therapy ourselves. The results are empirical and observable." Dr. Selverian moved forward, presenting detailed medical scans. "The changes are remarkable. Princess Tilara's cellular structure now incorporates human adaptive elements while maintaining Xilarian durability. Captain Chen's regenerative capabilities have increased by 67% while preserving his human genetic identity." "You permitted this experiment on your own body?" a counselor asked T. Lara, mandibles twitching in disbelief. "I did more than permit it," T. Lara replied. "I designed it. The success of our procedure proves what I have argued for years. Our species' obsession with physical conformity has become our greatest weakness. Human genetic diversity offers exactly what we need for survival." The council chamber erupted in clicking debate. Marcus, now able to interpret some Xilarian expressions after his neural connection with T. Lara, recognized the mix of outrage and scientific curiosity spreading through the room. Even if this therapy proves viable, countered another counselor, implementing it would require abandoning generations of physical standards that define our civilization. Physical standards that are killing us, T. Lara responded bluntly. Our birth rates decline with each generation. Our resistance to environmental changes weakens. Meanwhile, humans thrive through diversity, adapting to countless environments and challenges. Marcus stepped forward. Earth entered this alliance expecting mutual benefit. The extraction protocol violates that agreement fundamentally. We offer an alternative that honors both species' sovereignty while addressing your genetic needs. The eldest counselor leaned forward, studying them both carefully. And you, human. You underwent this procedure willingly, knowing the changes would be permanent, that you would carry Xilarian genetic elements for the remainder of your life. I did, Marcus confirmed. On Earth, we have learned, often painfully, that cooperation yields better results than conquest. Captain Chen, Earth's ambassador, would have been among the first extracted under your protocols. Instead, I stand before you demonstrating a better path forward. The council fell silent, considering. Finally, Supreme Commander Vor Cathak spoke. The princess has always been unconventional. I permitted her this experiment expecting failure, anticipating that her chastening would finally end her resistance to our traditions. His three eyes focused on his daughter, with an expression Marcus couldn't quite interpret. Instead, she has proven something I did not anticipate. And what is that, Commander? Prompted the eldest counselor. That perhaps, Vor Cathak said slowly, our traditions themselves require reassessment. The statement sent shockwaves through the chamber. For the Supreme Military Commander to question tradition was unprecedented. Before the council could respond, emergency alerts blared throughout the chamber. A communications officer rushed in, exoskeleton flashing urgent patterns. Supreme Commander, Earth Defense Forces have detected our extraction preparations. They've mobilized their orbital defenses and issued an ultimatum. Withdraw the fleet or face immediate attack. All eyes turned to Marcus, who maintained his diplomatic composure despite his surprise. It seems, he said carefully, we have very little time to choose between cooperation and conflict. Chaos erupted in the council chamber. Military advisors rushed to Vor Cathak with tactical assessments, while counselors demanded explanations. The massive view screen showed Earth's orbital platforms activating defense systems, their primitive but numerous weapons locking onto Xilarian vessels. How did they discover our plans? Demanded a counselor. The extraction protocols were classified at the highest level. Marcus exchanged a quick glance with T. Lara. Neither had contacted Earth about the danger. They'd been focused entirely on their genetic research. It appears, Vor Cathak said coldly, that humans are more perceptive than we anticipated. He turned to his tactical officer. Prepare response protocols. If they fire, we will. Commander, Marcus interrupted, his voice cutting through the commotion. Allow me to contact Earth's leadership. This confrontation is unnecessary. Your species prepares to attack our fleet, and you speak of unnecessary confrontation. Vor Cathak's mandibles clicked in what Marcus now recognized as bitter amusement. They're responding to a perceived threat, just as you would. Marcus replied evenly. Let me speak to them. Now. The eldest counselor raised a crystalline staff, silencing the chamber. The human ambassador's request is reasonable. Supreme Commander, establish communication with Earth's leaders. Minutes later, Marcus stood before the view screen as President Okafor's face appeared, flanked by military advisors. Her expression remained professionally neutral despite the obvious tension. Captain Chen, she acknowledged. Our intelligence detected preparations for hostilities aboard the Xilarian vessels. Are you well? I am, Madam President, Marcus replied formally, aware that every word was being scrutinized by both species. There has been a significant misunderstanding. The Xilarian High Council is currently evaluating an alternative approach to our alliance. one that offers mutual benefits through cooperative genetic exchange rather than conflict. He gestured for T-Lara to join him. The president's eyes widened slightly at T-Lara's appearance and the visible changes in Marcus himself. Princess T-Lara has developed a revolutionary therapy that addresses Silurian genetic needs while offering regenerative benefits to humans. We've undergone the procedure ourselves as proof of concept. T-Lara stepped forward. President Okafor, I understand your concern. Certain factions within our fleet had developed plans that would have violated our agreement. Captain Chen and I have demonstrated a superior alternative that honors both our people's sovereignty. President Okafor studied them both carefully. Captain Chen, you appear changed. The therapy integrates beneficial aspects of Silurian genetics while maintaining human identity, Marcus explained. The changes are cellular but significant. My recovery rate has increased dramatically, and preliminary data suggests extended lifespan as well. One of Earth's scientists leaned forward to whisper something to the president. She nodded and returned her attention to the screen. And this therapy would be available to humans on a voluntary basis. Yes, T-Lara confirmed, just as Silurian participation would be voluntary. Mutual benefit through cooperation rather than conquest. The council chamber had fallen completely silent, every Silurian watching this unprecedented negotiation. President Okafor conferred briefly with her advisors before responding. Stand down defense systems, she ordered someone off-screen. Captain Chen, we will need comprehensive data on this therapy and verification protocols before proceeding further. Understood, Madam President, Marcus replied. I believe the High Council is prepared to establish a joint scientific commission to oversee implementation. He turned questioningly toward the council. After a moment of tense silence, the eldest counselor stepped forward. The High Council will require time to deliberate, but yes, a joint commission would be appropriate. The extraction protocols will be suspended pending further evaluation. 3 months later, Marcus stood beside T-Lara on the observation deck of the newly constructed orbital research station. Below them, Earth gleamed blue and green, while Silurian vessels moved peacefully in established lanes. Inside the station, the first volunteer groups from both species were undergoing the refined therapy. The success rate has exceeded expectations, T-Lara noted, reviewing data on her terminal. 97% compatibility across diverse human genetic profiles. And the Silurian birth rates? Marcus asked. Rising for the first time in 6 generations, she confirmed, a trace of pride in her voice. The first children born to treated parents show remarkable genetic stability while maintaining healthy diversity markers. Supreme Commander Vor Kathak approached them, accompanied by President Okafor. The commander's exoskeleton now displayed subtle patterns similar to those T-Lara had developed, evidence he had undergone the therapy himself. The joint military exercise was successful, he reported. Human adaptability complements our technological precision effectively. President Okafor nodded. Who would have imagined 6 months ago that we'd be conducting cooperative defense drills rather than engaging in conflict? Vor Kathak's 3 eyes focused on his daughter and her human husband. When this alliance was first proposed, I saw it merely as a means to an end, a way to access human genetic material without unnecessary destruction. I considered my daughter's differences a diplomatic liability. He gestured toward the medical bay where humans and Silurians worked side by side. I could not have anticipated that those very differences would reveal a path neither of our species could have found alone. It took seeing beyond appearance, Marcus observed, to recognize the true potential of our alliance. Indeed, Vor Kathak acknowledged, when you married my daughter and showed no revulsion at her form, we were confused. When you valued her mind and recognized the advantage in her differences, we were surprised. Now, seeing what your combined perspective has created, he struggled to find the appropriate words. T-Lara's mandibles formed what Marcus now recognized as her subtle smile. Now, Father, you are speechless. As the 4 of them looked out at the stars, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought them here. What had begun as a diplomatic sacrifice had transformed both him and humanity's future. Sometimes, he thought, the most profound connections emerge from the most unexpected beginnings, especially when one learns to see beyond appearances to the remarkable potential within.